And can I just say, I so wish that what you and each of the presenters today who deny that a climate crisis is happening, I wish you were right. As I've said before, I cannot bet my children's, my granddaughters, and all of our children's future on 3% of the scientists and others like yourself who don't believe what 97% of the scientists in our country and the world have studied at length. So from your perspective and in your world, who considers you a champion? Who are you fighting for?
I'm fighting for a rational energy policy. And I have good news for you. A couple things. First of all, the 97%, as was previously mentioned, was pulled from thin air, according to United Nations lead author, Dr. Richard Toll. So even the United Nations lead author admits it was pulled from thin air in multiple studies, including by Dr. David Legate's.
Not true.
Excuse me. The audience is not allowed to interject while we have a testifier presenting. It's rude, unprofessional behavior, and you'll be removed from this room if it happens again.
Yeah, and they're right. There were one of the protesters here said there were multiple studies. I have a whole chapter in my book detailing the multiple studies. It was, in the words of Lord Monckton from UK, it was a talking point of 97% long before. In fact, Al Gore in the 80s was claiming the science was settled and all scientists agreed. And it was a couple dopey studies came out that were easily debunked, and they're embarrassing. But here's the good news. You don't have to agree with, you don't have to worry if we're facing a catastrophe. In other words, us so-called climate deniers, or some here today tried to say Holocaust, compare us to Holocaust deniers, even if we faced a climate catastrophe, all of your solutions, the United Nations Paris Treaty, the Green New Deal, the Pennsylvania's participation in RGGI, or the governor's executive order, would have no impact on the climate if, in fact, we faced a climate catastrophe. So in other words, if we actually faced one, which thank God we don't, we would all be doomed if we had to rely on all these solutions. I will finally say this. If we actually faced a climate crisis, the last thing we would want to do is saddle ourselves with the United Nations regulations, socialist-leaning Green New Deal proposals. You would actually want a free market, a vibrant energy economy to deal with solutions and to come forward and do it. The exact opposite of the way that you guys are doing it. In fact, the United Nations has admitted that their climate policies are not. Dr. Otto Edenhofer, a vice chair of the IPCC, said, "We will redistribute wealth by climate policy. This isn't even environmental policy anymore." And that's the same that the architects of the Green New Deal said. It's not a climate or energy thing. It's a change the economy kind of thing. So we know that if we faced it, your solutions that you advocate would have no impact on the climate and would actually hinder us in the actual case if we actually did face a climate catastrophe, because it would hamstring American innovation, competitiveness, and economic energy production.